What's up, dude?
How's it going?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for coming.
Dude, thank you for having me, man. I'm excited.
I'm glad that you're here. For people who don't know, this is Alex Schubert, host of Fuck You, We Like the Bengals. And like I was telling you before, we had some technical difficulties. I'm not a big sports guy. I like combat sports because, like,
yeah, my co-host Lloyd is massively into combat sports.
it's fun for me because it's like touch and go. It's like two guys show up and they beat the shit out of each other, and then I don't have to think about it, or I don't have to. Does that make sense? But I love the aspect of like stats and like the idea of people like getting into sports in like a deeper way. That shit, that's fun to me.
It's also like I'm a big into like I'm not gonna nerd out about it too much, but I'm like really big into fantasy football.
Okay.
So the one thing about it is like not only like the stats themselves, it's like with you, it's like you like the stats after they happen.
Yeah.
But for me, with fantasy football, you get to like see like, man, these are the stats that this guy could produce.
Okay.
And if you correctly predict that, it's like, man, it's like a little like kind of this thing. It's like,
so
I did that.
What is fantasy? Fantasy football is you have to guess who's gonna do what throughout the season before it even happens.
Pretty much.
Based on what?
Based on past seasons, based on potential, based on like who the team around them is, based on like where they were drafted. There's so much that goes.
Holy shit!
It.
So you're saying that like football is so deep that people who are really good at like football knowledge, they're like, this isn't enough. We also need a fantasy about this. Like,
maybe
like, dude, they're like, you know what? Regular football not enough for me. I need like
there's
more.
fantasy everything.
Yeah,
there's like fantasy. I mean, there's fantasy baseball, fantasy. I found out yesterday there was fantasy WNBA.
I didn't realize that was. I've always heard people do it. Like, do you want to like they do fantasy leagues and stuff? How exactly does that work?
So a fantasy league works. You get say maybe 8 guys, 10 guys, 12 people, whatever. And you guys like draft players that you want. You like go in order. Like, well, each player will pick a guy, and then they'll go like in reverse order. It's like a snake draft.
Okay.
Where it's like the 10th guy. There's fantasy notifications right there.
Is it really?
Literally speak of the devil.
That's funny, dude. What app do you use?
ESPN.
Okay.
So
fantasy draft ESPN.
Yeah, I should turn my ringer off there.
You got it too. Okay, I got you. You just already know.
So it's like, so a snake draft is like 10 guys will draft like first pick, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. And the guy that picked, or the person that picked first in the first round will pick last in the second round. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like they just go in reverse order just to make it fair for everybody.
Kind of like Uno.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but for football or baseball.
Pretty much.
Okay. That's fun, though. And then essentially you're just like, okay, I like this guy. I know he's done this. So I'm going to pretty much, you're like guaranteeing, you're like vouching for who you think would be the greatest if you stuck them all together. That's what you're saying?
You're like, you just have to basically get the most bang for your buck. Like, so like maybe like a 5th round pick. It's like, man, this guy could be, you know what a sleeper is?
No.
So a sleeper is like someone that like not a lot of people are overlooking. But then, like, once the season hits, like, man, they really start producing.
Okay.
Like, no one realizes.
Like, underrated players.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, no one realizes that they're going to do well or, like, do, like, crazy well until the season hits and they start really putting up numbers.
Yeah. You see that in comedy sometimes, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Right? You're like, this guy is ridiculously underrated. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, wow. I didn't see that. I haven't. You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes, like, comedy is my bread and butter. It's like, I mean, sports and comedy are, like, my 2 favorite things in the world.
Yeah.
Like comedy, like you can see like potential like early on, whether they're like, oh man, like you'll see like kind of like trickles, like I think there's like a better word than trickles, like
sparkles,
like hints, little hints of like that was a really good joke, or like they had a really good set that night, and it wasn't like there's some comics that are like not good, but they'll have that fluke good set.
Yeah,
but like there are comics that are like, man, you're like pretty early in, but I'm like. You like 6 months in, they're like, that was a legit, really good set.
Yeah.
And I love watching people like that.
It's fun. Yeah. Cause then as they mold over the years and then you're like, holy shit. And it's like, all of a sudden they're working comics. It's like, I see it happen to my peers all the time. You know what I mean? Like at the level that I'm at is like a lot of people that I either like started a little bit before me, a little bit after me around the time that I started, they're starting to like really, At least the handful of working ones are starting to really hone their stuff and get not only that, but get seen by the other working comics who are coming through Ohio and stuff and get recognition.
And like the headliners, like I had one headliner, Phil Hanley. Do you know Phil Hanley?
No, I don't know.
He's a New York guy. He literally pulled me aside one night and like after, because I worked with him one time, and he's been on like Conan, Ferguson, and all that stuff. And he pulled me aside after my set because I hosted for him one time, and he just pulled me aside and he said, like, you have really good jokes. I was like, that really motivated me to just like keep going forward. I was like, man, I don't want to say recognized by a legit comic, but it's just like, man, I could really do this.
It keeps you going too until like your next moment, right? I heard Joey Diaz explain it like this. He was like, comedy will have like these little moments in it where like right before you're about to quit or give up or be like, man, I don't know if I had a bad set or whatever, right? And shit's not working, you're not getting booked enough. It's like something will happen. Like somebody will recognize you, or you'll get a big showcase, and you'll be like, okay, this is what I've been waiting on. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Like I've gotten to do a few spots for Dave Attell.
That's dope as fuck.
Who's my favorite comic.
Yeah.
And I think I did a set for him at Helium in Indy.
Okay.
And my set didn't go all that well. Like full room. It was a weird setup. Like there was like 300 people in the crowd, and 100 of them were dentists.
Oh yeah.
Very weird.
That's super weird.
So, and everyone on the show was like Rand Barnacle, who's the fucking funniest.
Yeah.
And then me, and then Louis Katz, and then Dave. Like the material was like everyone's material did worse than it usually does. So like I got off stage, and I'm just a material comic. So like I got off stage, and then Dave was like, you deserved better than that crowd gave you. I was like, wow, that was really cool.
That's amazing, dude.
That was so reassuring, and he was just the coolest.
That's dope, bro. He was one of my early influences, not as a comic, because I didn't know him as a comic, but I used to stay up late
Insomniac
and watch Insomniac.
That's man. I was too young to watch that show because I didn't really watch Comedy Central because it was around like 2003.
Yeah.
How
old are you?
I'm 29 right now, so I was like 11.
I'm 32, so I'd be a couple years older. Yeah.
But I didn't really know about I didn't really know about Comedy Central.
Right.
But I like my early days of watching stand was like Jeff Foxworthy.
Okay.
That was like
blue collar. Yeah.
Blue collar. Well, just like the DVDs that my parents had.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't really have like the true like these are the guys, like New York guys, or they were just the guys that like, or the comics that like, how do I word this? They were not the comics that like we know and respect. They're just the ones that are doing like theaters and arenas and shit. The ones that like made it and have that huge cult following.
Yeah.
Like when I was in high school, I liked Gabriel Iglesias a lot.
He has a huge following.
Yeah, he has a massive following. But I think at this point, he just does comedy.
Somebody's knocking on the door? Yeah, don't let anybody in. Hold on a second. You want to pause that?
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, so we were talking about Attell and you opening for him, and then we had a little interruption. But yeah, dude, so what other kind of, I know that I'm not sure if you still do, but I know you worked at Go Bananas for a while, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of doors did that open for you as a comic? Just kind of like being able to see the shows and how everything was ran from behind the scenes and the business aspect of it.
I guess so. Like I've done a lot of shit at Go Bananas. Like I've worked the door. I've helped run food. I've helped run checks, but I've also like been a working comic. So like when you're a working comic, I think that's like your best opportunity to like not only make connections in stand up, but like pick the brains of headliners.
Yeah.
Because the headliners, I'm sorry, my ear itches right now. The headliners, they've been through all the shit they've been through the same shit we have, especially the club comics.
Yeah.
They've been through the grind of like open micer to host, to feature, to headliner. So they've been through it and they get it. And so within reason, obviously, I don't want to bother the shit out of them, but I love like picking their brains and just talking shop and talking comedy and just honestly, like, it's kind of a weird like ego trip for me every time I'm able to hold my own in like a room full of like headliners when they're like talking about comedy and shit.
Yeah.
Man, all our phones are going off today.
I know, right?
The phones are going off. Doors are being knocked on. What's up?
I forgot to put mine on Vibe before we started.
Oh, you forgot to put yours. Did you say you forgot to put yours on Vibe?
Vibe. I just had to shorten it. I was like,
Hashtag Vibe.
hey, we don't have enough time
Let's
to say
go.
vibrate. All right, this is
You didn't have enough time to say a 2-syllable word.
Yeah.
People aren't going to talk in the future. They're going to be like, who's it?
Oh, dude, we'll be talking in hieroglyphics for sure. I think that's where it's going back to.
We'll be talking in Morse code in 20 minutes.
What's your theory on how all this got created? I don't want to go. I don't want to. Are you a religious man or do you?
I grew up in the church. I still go to church every now and then, but I'm kind of at a crossroads right now.
Yeah.
No pun intended for Cincinnati people.
Well, there's like a weird thing that's happening, I think, in the world where we're kind of like going from like God to like the universe. Right? We're starting to think of like God as the universe, and then we're starting to think of like prayer as like being spiritual. And I don't have a problem with that. I think that's what it's always been. I think that's always been the universe, and it's been this like energy that we're all just living in, right?
I think a big issue I have with I have some issues I think a lot of people do, but like one issue I have is that the people like say Christianity, for example. That's a church I grew up in. And I think they want their religion to like be just the all-encompassing rule of the universe.
Yeah.
It's like even among like people who don't follow that religion. So
it's bad for business if people start disagreeing with them, right?
Yeah.
Like if you start talking sense into people and then in the neighborhood, that's like less money in the collection plate.
And they also, a lot of them like run on fear.
Yeah.
They just like, there's like, well, Jesus wouldn't like it if I hate to get controversial, but it's like, man, Jesus would hate it if abortion was legal.
Right.
I love my 40-year-old woman who donates way too much money to a mega church voice. I think you need to answer to the Lord.
No, dude, there's some mega churches down south for sure, in Cincy and stuff. In between here, Dayton and Cincy, there's a big one.
My friend of the pod, Zach Wyckoff?
Yeah.
He works for Crossroads down there.
Really?
Yeah, the mega church down there.
That's is that the one with the big Jesus that burnt down?
No, that is oh fuck me.
I don't know the name of that one. Touchdown Jesus.
Yeah,
it used to be.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it used to be Butter Jesus or something.
It was Touchdown Jesus. Then it became Hug Me Jesus.
Hug Me Jesus. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Yeah, you knew something was going on there. Like everyone around here was like, so the statue of the Lord burned down in a lightning storm. Like that's peculiar. You know what I mean? Like, is he trying to show us something?
Oh my God, Google is not being helpful right now.
They rebuilt it in 3 days. That's funny. Yeah, dude.
Oh, it's the King of Kings statue.
The King of Kings.
That's the official name of it. It's not giving me a church.
That's a nice.
There it is. Solid
nice
Rock Church.
Yeah, Solid Rock.
Solid Rock Church. My friend Tiffany was. She told me she went there one time, and they apparently were very. They were talking about a lot about how COVID was a lie.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What if you went there and you just like to the congregation and you found out they were just really into heavy metal and everyone had like leather on and shit?
Dude, okay.
They're like Solid Rock, baby.
This might be a shitty take of mine. I actually do like some Christian metal.
Yeah.
Because I'm like kind of a metalhead in my own right.
I like this Christian rapper, Andy Mino. You know who that is? He's got that song, I'm Coming In Hot. I'm coming in hot. It's a dude. It's like a number one.
I've heard of
not
it.
a number one, but it's a
Andy Mino
on the charts.
Doesn't he spell it M-I-N-E-O?
Yeah, it's
okay. I've heard the
differently.
name.
Yeah,
I've heard the name.
Yeah, I think he's like an LA comic, but I'm pretty sure he's a Christian rapper. Because I tried to listen to some of his other stuff, and I was like, okay, I can't necessarily get down with this, but that other song is really good.
Yeah, it's just I'm also not sure how I feel about Christian comics sometimes.
Yeah,
because like the ones are like super like mainstream in the Christian,
like Pete Holmes.
Is he a Christian comic?
Well, I think at some point he was.
He comes across as one for sure.
At some point he was. Did you watch the show Crashing?
I saw like a couple episodes of it for sure.
I was so addicted to it. It was really good.
Dude, it's like the couple episodes I saw were so fucking good.
Yeah, it was great. I loved the whole thing. And then I watched him do someone's podcast. I don't know if it was Theo or somebody. He was on somebody's show and he was explaining it. And he was like, actually, he said he was like, he was much further along in his career whenever you don't know the show, and spoiler alert, but he said it was loosely based around his life though. So like,
I mean, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's like you have to cut stuff out, like as far as like, you can't put your entire life into 3 seasons essentially. So
yeah,
kind of mash some things together.
You can put like the big parts together and kind of just do what you can.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the coming up and just like Like he's like crashing on people's couches. And
Yeah, there's so many good comics that make cameos. Like Burr's in it, like fucking T.J. Miller. I think Hannibal's in it.
I think Attell was in it too.
Attell was in it. Yeah, he did an episode. It was amazing, bro. Showtime's really good, and that also got me onto Pete Holmes, and it got me into like a different kind of comedy because I'm like a fan of like I like Patrice O'Neal and like Greg Giraldo. I'm like a fan of the raunchy stuff.
Giraldo is after Attell. Giraldo is my favorite comic.
Yeah, Giraldo is amazing, bro.
He
such a big influence on me.
I had a girl tell me one time that she thought stand-up comedy was dumb, which
she was wrong.
I know. But anytime someone tells me stand-up comedy is dumb, I'm like, one of my favorite comedians is a fucking Harvard lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. He was a brilliant man. God rest his soul.
Yeah, that's what made him so good was he was so well read that he had the knowledge to back up the jokes.
And he was smarter than the crowd, but his jokes weren't.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, he dumbed it down.
Exactly.
He like hand fed, you know what I mean? Like,
are you a Reddit person?
No, but every now and then I'll have to go over there for something.
There's a subreddit called Explain Like I'm 5.
Okay.
That's kind of what Geraldo does. Like he takes a super smart topic and just kind of dumbs it down and he's like, explain like I'm 5 for the audience.
I think that's what comedy, at least the parts that I like, that's what comedy is in a way. It's like we take, like it's our job to sort of usher in these new ideas that society puts on us and they're like, this kind of sucks or there's pushback or whatever. And we're like, we don't understand it. And we have to like dumb it down and tell people what it's about, but in a funny, silly way.
And another part of it is taking parts of our lives and making them universal for things like anyone can enjoy, like a breakup story or and I was fucking this bitch the other night kind of story.
Yeah, those things are so true to us though that it makes it a powerful joke when you share and you're like, oh man, I know I have a story just like this, or I know a buddy who used to tell a story just like this, and it's like you're weird. I never you're right, bro. I never really looked at it like that. Like you're taking your life and kind of like. I don't know where the what I'm trying to go. I'm kind of a brain fart right now. But
no, you're totally
I see what
good.
you're saying though. I'm on base with what you're saying. Yeah, I smoked too much weed before the podcast.
Nah. Did you just smoke before Billy's podcast?
Yeah, I smoked right before he came in.
All right.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
Yeah. Are you a smoker?
I don't smoke all too much. I'll take an edible every now and then, but I'm not like, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on camera. Like I'm not a big pot guy.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like in my apartment, if I'm like a sore, if something's sore and it's like, and Tylenol's not working, I'll throw in an edible.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to hit it one time?
I've
Don't peer pressure.
smoked one blunt ever, hated it.
Yeah.
And I smoked out of a bong once. That is now a bit.
Yeah.
I haven't told it in a while, but I was with a girl one night and she brought out a bong and I like inhaled a little bit too much and I just started coughing for like 15 minutes and she fucking laughed at me the entire time. A what?
It's like unbleached tobacco paper. It's like a healthy. It's like a vegan.
It's like the Whole Foods of rolling paper.
That's what I smoke. Yeah.
That just sounds like Marlboro's trying too hard.
Yeah, they really are, dude. Yeah, I imagine.
This is grass fed.
Yeah.
This is grass fed grass. Here you go.
Exactly. Yeah. We got to get you a mic over there too, Justin. We got to get you hooked up. We're gonna get a third camera too to make it a little more dynamic and make it look cooler in here and shit.
This feels like I don't know. You probably don't watch Pat McAfee a lot. He's a foot.
Wait, I thought that the guy got killed.
Pat McAfee?
Yeah, I thought he killed himself.
No, Pat McAfee is the old punter for
the Colts.
Oh, it's not John McAfee. I thought we were talking about John McAfee.
Nah.
Okay, buddy.
McAfee he's a punter. He just kind of talks about the topics of the day, but he also has his like guys in the background.
Okay.
That just like provide content with microphones occasionally.
Okay. So it's basically like a podcast, but it's on sports.
It's a podcast / radio show. It's on like Sirius XM.
Okay.
They also like broadcast on YouTube and shit.
That would be amazing to one day get our shows on Sirius or a major network.
He's the man.
That'd be the shit.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. I just had a daydream. I was just daydreaming about
like
being
comedy.
signed to Sirius.
Oh, we were talking about like the construction of comedy, like making it universal and shit.
Oh yeah.
So I always say like when I write a joke, the first person I have to make laugh is myself.
Okay.
And I read a piece of advice on Facebook one time, which it can be a good place for advice if you look in the right places. It's like Reddit.
Yeah.
tell what you think is funny and keep what the audience tells you is funny. Because I love laughing out loud at my own jokes. Like when I think of them, and I'll just like try them on stage and like try and like when I write a bit, oftentimes I'll have like one punchline that I kind of build around.
Yeah.
And then just maybe throw in like a tag here or there. And then I'll just like try the bit on stage. And then if it kind of works, I'll like kind of like retool it a little bit. This is literally the construction of it.
Now, how many times, for people who are listening, now, how many times will you try a bit before you burn it and you say, hey, you know what? I thought I had something here and it's just really not a good joke, or it's not the time for it, or whatever.
Depends on how much I like it.
Yeah.
I've literally had times where I've written a bit and just fleshed out and spent so much time writing it, and I've scrapped it after one take. Where I was just like, oh, there is nothing here.
Yeah.
But there are other times where I'm like, there are a lot of times where I'm like, I know it's not working right now, but I want it to work so bad. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll give it maybe 5 or 6 before I'm just like, it's not worth it.
5 or 6, really? I should try harder, because I'll do it like 2 or 3. And then like on a 4th one, like this is the thing, like there'll be like a one-off. There's always like, if I can get 2 out of 3 laughs on the joke, I'm like, it's gold. But we start getting into those 4 and 5 times. Like if we work once out of like 4, I'm going to be like, I'm probably going to scrap it because the last 3 times it didn't work. Does that make sense? I had a one-off, or maybe I should just keep trying it a few more times. Like I think
you can judge like I treat in a way like each individual punchline as its own thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, man, if it got like a big laugh one time and then like meager laughs like the other 3 out of 4 or something like that, I'm like, I'll kind of cling to that one time. Like, man, that worked really, really well.
Yeah.
Like I have one joke that like I laughed so hard I almost fell off of a weight machine at the gym.
Because when you thought of it?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I tried it it was at the Hub in over the Rhine in Cincinnati. And I tried it, and it got legitimately one of my favorite laughs I've ever gotten.
The biggest laugh. Yeah.
Top 5.
Really?
And then there are other times I've done it where I've literally told it to no laughter. So it's like it can be so up and down sometimes.
Yeah.
Just not just that bit, just comedy in general.
Yeah. Sometimes I have a problem like when I'm really like how do you say? Some people call it cooking, or Billy DeVore, he just called it when you're drumming. Like I'll get in that mode, and then like that ba mode, but then like I'll get confident and I'll try something new in there that doesn't necessarily have the same rhythm, but I'll try it with the same rhythm, and then the joke doesn't hit. It's almost like this joke is a story, and I tried to tell it like the other punchline jokes.
Yeah.
I needed to slow myself down and like give it a little more. Some jokes deserve a little more fat.
Yeah.
Does that makes sense? Like when you're really in there.
Especially long form stories.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like I'm not a very good storyteller. Like I'm not a good long form storyteller. I can give you a 1-2 minute bit just like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't do like a story with like a plot and a twist and shit like that. I'm not very good at that.
I'm not the best at it either, and like people are so talented that can do that. Those are good writers that can do that.
The way I envy those people, because they can fill a half hour with 9 bits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like for me, that's like 40 bits.
Right.
40 bits.
It just comes to them somehow.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And they're so good at it. And I don't know how they do it. I commend them. I've tried to write long form stories. I've tried to figure out how to punch them up, and like, because with a long form story, you have to do like ebbs and flows, and I can't do that.
Right. Yeah. It's that whole, like, if you don't punch it at least a few times on the way to the big one, it's like you're not going to be able to keep them engaged.
Because with a story, like, you have to be comfortable with, there are times where you can go 30 to 45 seconds without a laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm not personally comfortable with that.
It definitely takes a more seasoned comic who's really like, how do you say, really comfortable up there.
Yeah.
To be like, not care, almost like as if, like I've heard Chappelle, when he did those long 3-4 hour sets, there would be 20-30 minutes without laughter sometimes.
That's insane.
Because he's explaining something so long and so outwardly, and he's really exploring the whole idea before he ever even. It's almost like he was just working out his stuff up there for him.
I feel like part of the reason why that works for him is because he's him.
Yeah.
Because the people are going to automatically like be glued to Chappelle.
Yeah.
Because he's like one of the what your views aside. anyone's views aside,
he's the best living comic.
He's one of the best comics out there.
Yeah.
And the people that like, so can I talk about the tackle thing for a
Please,
second?
dude. Please bring it up. I was just about to bring it up.
Yeah.
It's a great segue.
It was I'm not sure.
No, it is.
There were people that like, I can't stand Facebook justice sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you don't attack performers on stage, but also if you're a dipshit open micer, you're not going to get tackled at Rinky Dink's Pub and Grill in fucking Thompsonville, Michigan or some shit.
No one cares about you.
No, you're not going to get tackled. But there were people that were like, I'm not happy he got tackled, but like deep down they're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude. Those memes. Dude, the meme that you made with Smokey and Ice Cube from Friday where he's leaned back.
That was really fun.
I got to send this to you, Justin. He made a meme with from Friday. You know when Miss Johnson is out in the yard and they're like, damn. He put the dude that got beat up by Chappelle's crew with his arm in the middle of him, dude. It made me laugh out loud. Sometimes memes are so much funnier than anything we'll ever write as comics.
It's unbelievable. And like just a short tweet that gets like, because like we'll like just house over bits for like weeks.
Years.
And someone can write it. Yeah, years. And someone can just write a tweet in 2 seconds and it gets 200,000 likes.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
mind blowing.
Yeah, it's also this though, like once you get to a certain like level of fame and you have fans like that are following you, I think they can hear your voice. Like your voice starts to become part of like the bigger consciousness.
I think
they hear it in your voice almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think a great example of that is Mark Normand.
Yes.
Yeah, because
when I read his tweets and stuff or his Instagrams, I hear his voice.
Dude, I got to hang out with him recently until like he was doing a show at the Liberty Funny Bone down in Westchester.
Oh yeah.
Then he came to Go Bananas afterwards. And him and a bunch of the local comics and like Jeremiah Watkins was there. And we were all just hanging out and shooting the shit.
That's dope, bro.
Because he walked in and in the background I just heard comedy. I was like,
no way.
I know that voice. I know that voice.
Hey, comedy.
And he remembered me. He's like, hey, you were at the Funny Bone last time. I was like, I was.
That's dope, dude. You do a decent impression of him, actually.
Hey, comedy.
Comedy. Yeah. Do you ever hear his backstory? He has a really interesting backstory.
Really?
Yeah. I think he like his parents like bought a dilapidated mansion in like a really bad neighborhood in Louisiana.
Really?
And they like kept getting robbed, and he had like a transvestite nanny that raised him. It was like this black dude, this big buff black dude that wore high heels. No wonder he's such a character. Like when I heard like, I don't know if he was on, I think he was on Theo. Theo always really pulls the juice out of people. I don't know if you watch his show.
Not really.
I love watching his podcast, but
I like Theo.
Yeah, I think he was on there. One of the best podcasts I've ever seen was when Andrew Schultz was on Theo. It's like two of my favorite people, two of the funniest working minds, and they just hashed it out.
Was Schultz was the one that he did that special where he phoned in like 5 clubs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
His
4, I think it was 4.
Schultz's joke about the bear attacks.
Yeah.
That fucking got me.
Dude, when he put that thing out, I was like, this dude's going to be big. It was before he did a Netflix thing too, but not a special.
He was like the biggest comic on YouTube, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the big. I think Flagrant is one of the highest paid Patreons, his podcast with his homies.
He's really funny.
Yeah,
I like him.
He's really funny. I flew down to Miami to see him at the Improv. That's how much.
No shit.
I was like, dude, Wyatt Lutz and I got tickets.
I love Wyatt.
Wyatt's a great guy. He's coming on the show
he's the
next
man.
week.
Dude, I love Wyatt.
I love Wyatt too. He's a great guy. But yeah, we flew down there, and what's crazy is I can't tell this story. I can't without clearing it with him. I don't want to tell this story.
Fair.
But it was a crazy night in Miami. I'll just say that.
Dude,
but,
Wyatt almost got to like do spots with Chappelle.
He did. He opened up for him at a not at a club or anything, but
he wasn't on the official show.
Right.
Like I think there was like some after party where he got to do like 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, right before he came out.
Wyatt's the man.
Yeah, it's so dope, dude. What's cool about Chappelle is like he's such a humble guy that he would give a local person a spot like that. Like that's great.
I think we can segue right back into the whole Chappelle controversy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's big right now.
I think a big thing with him is that like people don't often separate the art from the artist. Like with him, like he says some things that like they are kind of like maybe he's dating himself.
Yeah.
But I don't like off stage. He literally does seem like the most genuine, smart, and he does try. I mean, he does make a very, very concerted effort to be a good person.
Yeah.
So I just, anytime someone says like "fuck Chappelle" and they just define him by jokes and a special.
I don't want to. I think that this is what the opinion is overall. Is like we don't want to hate somebody because they disagree with us.
No,
like that seems crazy to me. Like
it's leading to so like anyone on the left that's like fuck the right, or anyone on the right that's like fuck the left. It's like we're all people.
Yeah.
You just have to find like, just put politics aside and just be like I have plenty of friends. Like I'm kind of a dirty stinky lib, but
yeah.
I have friends on the plenty of friends on the right. The what?
Stop the episode.
He's a fucking liberal. This is over. We're out of here.
Yeah. But I have plenty of friends on the right, and I don't take their politics into like, I don't consider that, and like, just because they are on the other side of me doesn't mean I don't think they're a solid person. It doesn't mean I don't think I can be a friend to them. Do
you view it like sports? It's like, that's your team, this is my team. We don't have to fucking stab each other in the street.
I'm a massive NFL fan.
Okay.
I go out of my way to make sure that just because like someone roots for the Steelers, like I'm a Bengals fan.
Yeah.
Just because someone roots for the Steelers or the Browns, I'm like, I love talking. I know.
The Browns.
Like, just because like I love talking to other fans about their team.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I just like talking to football fans because
Yeah.
I just love talking about it.
That would be a fun segment to go up and talk to drunk football fans at stadiums. You know what I mean? That would be great on social media.
Just like, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. I'm like, you're the Jaguars.
You're drunk and it's noon. Like that's what you know what I mean?
You're drunk at noon on a Tuesday.
Yeah, dude.
And you're driving a truck.
That would be so funny. Like tailgate. That's the thing. Like when you put people on camera, they act differently. Especially if they're already like into being entertaining and wild. You pull a camera out and you're like, "Hey man, tell me about the Super Bowl this year." And he just like kills a tiger in front of you, and he's, you know what I'm saying? People switch up. They're like, "You want to see something?"
People, when they're on camera, people will either like enhance their character, or just like completely mellow out.
Right?
They're just like, "Oh my God, I'm in front of a camera," or "Oh my God, I'm in front of a camera."
Yes.
There's literally no in between.
I think being on stage helps that though, because it's kind of the same thing, right? In a weird way, it's like doing like a podcast or something. I feel like it's similar to being on stage because you're constantly being observed, and you have to kind of have like, it's like this is free form where like right when you're doing stand up, it's a little more scripted. But it's like you still know that you're being watched, like by others. It's like a weird thing in the back of your head. Like,
and you know, like you're in all likelihood you're gonna see them outside of the show and be like after the show, and you're just like, man, I hope I don't bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a terrifying. Like one of my big fears sometimes, like with bringing friends to shows, is that I'll bomb.
Yeah,
and I have done that before. And I'm like, I am so like, I have friends that live up in Columbus. I talk to them about stand up for years.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what I want to do. It's my favorite thing. And they came to a open mic at a place called the Shrunken Head.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
I've been there a handful of times actually.
Same here.
But I went up one night because I wanted to go over some jokes before like a weekend or something. I went up and bombed so hard. And these people that I talked to about stand up for years, they came to the show. I bombed so bad.
That can be a hard room sometimes though.
It really can. Like, after like 8 or 10 comics, they stopped giving a shit.
Yeah. Was it one of those like 40, 50 comic nights?
I think it was a little less than that, if I'm not mistaken.
So now they cap it, but like 3 or 4 years ago when I first started, I went out there one night and I was like 4 or 5 dating guys, and we all got on the list, but they randomized the list, so they put us all at like different places.
Yeah.
And, like, one guy was like 25 and I was like 43 or something. And I was like, we sat there till 3 a.m. And then by the time I went up, like no one give a fuck.
No one does. They're just tired.
They were tired. They stopped serving alcohol and shit.
Really?
Yeah, dude. They like let it go on till 3.
They stopped
It was last
serving
call.
laughter juice before your set.
It was last call, dude.
That's
Yeah, they were like, there's like 3 more comics. They were like, let them go up.
I did an open mic in Denver a couple months ago, and I, no joke, was 69.
Nice.
That's fantastic. You did there was more than 70 comics.
No, I was the last one.
They capped it at 69.
I was just the last person to sign up, but I was like, I was so tired because I had just gotten in town that day and I was super jet lagged. And I'd found a ride home from a random comic, and he was like trying to talk to me about stand up, and I love talking about stand up, but I was so incoherent that I'm just like, I just started talking about the Reds randomly.
You're like, I can't even do this right now, bro.
No, I was just completely incoherent. I felt so bad.
That's funny.
Which, by the way, if you ever get the chance to go to Denver and experience their comedy, fucking go.
They have a big scene, huh?
Huge scene. One of the best clubs I've ever been to is out there. Comedy Works.
Comedy Works.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That they're really tightly packed in, and
I need to make my way out west for sure.
Dude,
really
Denver is such a great place to go to.
Have you ever played Minneapolis?
I am playing Minneapolis in early July.
That's where what's his name? Spade just shot his new special there.
No shit.
Yeah.
What was it, a club or a theater?
Theater.
That tracks.
Yeah. He was on Rogan. It seems to be the only thing I ever reference.
I don't listen to Rogan a whole lot.
He was. I like Theo Von too, and I like Mark Norman and Sam Morrill's podcast.
Oh, I love Morrill, dude.
Morrill is one of my favorite.
He might be in my top 10.
Oh, dude, he might be drunk.
He is.
That's the name.
I know. Norman's podcast. Dude, Norman and Morrill, they are both so goddamn funny.
Have you ever heard Morrill's bit about the magician Stu?
I think so.
Dude, it's like it might be like a 10-minute bit about this magician in Panama City or some fucking town in Florida or North Carolina or some shit. But like this guy runs the city. You have to look it up. I'm not gonna butcher it for you.
Isn't it at the end of one of his YouTube specials?
I think I just watched the clip by itself on YouTube.
I think I have seen it. It's just been a minute.
Yeah, dude, it's such a good bit, bro.
No, Sam is one of those comics. I was talking to a buddy of mine about this. There are some comics that, like, when they make it big, they'll like stop being truly funny, and they'll just start playing to their audience a little bit. I feel like I don't know if Morrill will ever become a true household name.
Yeah,
and that's to no fault of his own. I just don't know if he has like that. He's just so funny. That's all he has. But he's so fucking funny.
He's an amazing writer.
He's one of the best writers in the game.
Structurally, all of his bits like are very like well read. It seems like he's a New York comic. Like you can't fuck around up there, right? If you want to be punchy and you want to work those big clubs, you got to be good and you got to be on your shit. So I think that's a big part of how he writes.
And how he writes, he's also simple when he writes.
Yeah.
He's not trying to do too much. He's just trying to talk about. He's not like making these amazing. He's just making short, simple, super punchy jokes.
Yeah.
And he's just the man. He's the funniest.
He's also one of those comics who's not scared to, kind of push the envelope.
No.
Like Norman. Because if you're not like being rude or disrespectful towards a group of people or trying to denigrate someone, I feel like if you can circle back around, if you're talking about a group of people, as long as you could circle back around and it's actually funny and you could just show us a new perspective or bring a new light to the topic, I think it's okay to talk about it. Right? You have to make it okay.
Like
as a
any
comic.
any subject is fair game in comedy.
Sure.
You just have to do it correctly.
Yeah.
And some people are like, how can you make rape funny? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. I've never tried.
No. But there are people that do it, and because like I know there's a whole PC debate and shit like that. There are people that are like, everyone's trying to be too PC, and there are people that are too overly PC.
Sure.
They're both wrong.
Right.
Because the people that it's like everything's too overly PC, you just want an excuse to say the N-word into a microphone.
Exactly.
But the people that are like, there's like correcting everything. Like, you can't joke about this literally no matter what the joke is. No matter if it's funny, if it's not funny. If it's not funny, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if someone is not like, I'm losing my train of thought here.
Well, it's like, I think what you're trying to say is like comedy doesn't live in either one of those worlds. It's somewhere in between.
It is in between.
It lies in between, and it's a thin line too.
It's a super thin line.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out. And like, when you're joking about something that's like dark, is it funnier than it is sad? Is it funnier than it is dark?
Yeah.
Your first objective has to be funny.
Sometimes I have a problem where I write things that are more interesting than funny, and I have to really like tweak my jokes.
How's that?
I don't know. Like I'll say something that's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's an interesting topic or fact, but it's not necessarily. I can't find the bit, but I'm like, I like this idea.
Yes,
Does that
exactly.
make sense?
Oh yes,
I can't find the funny.
It's like I've heard sometimes I'll hear like bad segues at open mics. It's just because the comic wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you heard about Ukraine?
Like
It's just like, you don't have any jokes. You just want to talk about Ukraine and sound relevant.
Yeah, exactly.
I was talking about this before. I love bad comedy.
Yeah.
Like, not just someone that's like not funny. Like, this is a bit I have, but like, I love a comic that is so bad you can't not watch.
Just hacky as
my
fuck.
favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, I mentioned this to you earlier. I love seeing a show, and as a comic, you do too. Like everyone does. Like I love seeing a show go off the rails.
It's the best.
The crowd isn't laughing. No one up there is having a good time, but the comics in the back. I mean, it's such a treat to all of us to watch your friends burn and we just go down in flames.
It's not just your friend. Like
just for the night. It's not. They'll be fine tomorrow.
Sometimes. Oh yeah. It's like if I bomb at a bar open mic, I will like mope about it for 30 minutes and then just completely forget it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just like. I think the one place that has really good stories like of bad comics is Wiley's.
Yes.
I love
dude, so many people.
I was there were some have you ever heard the story of Puke?
Yes.
It's
a legendary story.
I was at the show that night.
No fucking way.
Yes, I was.
Okay, so from your perspective, please explain to people at home he was a comedian and his name was Puke.
Comedian loosely used there.
Yeah, well, he was an open micer.
Yes.
Came around from time to time apparently, and he had tried comedy.
He dressed like a hippie.
Yeah, like a clown, literally.
Like a literal clown hippie. I don't remember his material at all.
Yes.
The one time I ever saw him, he was at Wiley's. And you know how like you go up like the side stage? Like the side of the stage to get on the stage.
Yes.
He got his mic cut, the lights were turned off, and he walked forward off of the stage. This motherfucker face planted
into a table.
I was in the back. I screamed laughing.
That is the funniest thing he ever did.
I love that shit.
What if that was his closer and you guys just didn't realize
it? Technically was.
Like, dude, what is this guy? Charlie Chapman?
Oh, man. I have so many stories of comics where I'm just like, how are you continuing to do this?
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about, I think we have to go soon. How long have we been rolling, Justin? 44. Yeah, we have to go soon. We gotta plug your social media and stuff too.
Yeah.
The podcast again at the end, but I'll try to make it short. But when I was a young man, I was like 17 or 18. It was my first show at Wiley's, and the bouncer at the time told me that Rob Schneider actually had toured through Dayton back in the day before he was like a producer or before he got like a big deal.
Okay.
And he was just touring, and the owner of Wiley's, his name is Dan Lafferty. So he gives Ron his car to drive around for the weekend because he's headlining for the weekend, and Rob. I said Ron.
I was like, what?
Ron? Rob
Good.
Schneider gets pulled over by the Dayton police, and they're like, "Hey, whose car is this? It's not in your name." And he was like, "I don't remember the guy's name." So like, "Okay, well, we're arresting you because you've stole this car." So Rob Schneider gets arrested, gets taken down to the Montgomery County Jail, and I guess he's there for like 5 or 6 hours before they said he comes running down the hallway and starts banging on the cell door, and he said, "Dan Lafferty." His name is Dan Lafferty. So this is what's crazy is when you watch the opening scene of Happy Gilmore. Is that the one with the golf?
Yeah, Happy Gilmore. Happy Madison's the production company.
I butcher the story every time. So Happy Gilmore, the one with the golf where he fights Bob Barker.
Yes.
Right. So the opening scene of that movie when
the press is wrong, bitch.
I fucking love that movie. I should go home and watch that with my kids. They would
so
like
good.
It. But the very first thing that you see is there's a scoreboard in the background, opening frame, and it has Dan Lafferty's name up on it. And the first line of the movie, if you listen, is an announcer, and it says, "Now teeing off Dan Lafferty." So Rob Schneider produced that movie. He was one of the producers, and he said that he would never forget Dan Lafferty's name after being arrested. Yeah, it's a crazy story, right?
That fucking rules.
That's a crazy story, dude.
I know we gotta head out soon. I've got a couple stories I was gonna share.
I'd love to have you back on sometime.
Dude, anytime,
That'd
brother.
Be great, bro.
I work up in Dayton on the weekend, so this kind of works out. Yeah, I DJ over at Milano's.
Dude, that's perfect. Yeah, I usually do this like Saturdays and Sundays usually. So
that's dope.
Yeah, dude, I'll definitely have to have you. If you're gonna be coming through like that, yeah, we'll definitely get you on the rotation, bro. That'd be great.
Dude, anytime. I was up in at the Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle up in Royal Oak.
Okay.
And one thing I didn't realize about that place is like I was on their open mic night. I luckily got on the standby list because someone didn't show up. I was like one of the only comics on the show who knew how to tell a joke. Because like there were some comics on the show who were awful.
Just because they knew someone, they got to get a spot, basically.
Well, they were just like local comics.
Okay.
But there was the MC of the show. He was a man in his 50s, looked like an out of shape, had an ill-fitting black polo shirt. Like Tim Dillon, but worse.
Yeah. Like,
but a woman walked into the showroom, like mid-40s or something like that. And then the guy who was hosting the show goes, "If I'm funny, will you show me your boobs?"
oh my God, dude.
I'm like, "If you're not funny, I'll show you mine." God. There's so many. I have so many stories.
There's so many bad comics, dude.
And they thankfully only come and go. What's up? Taking a selfie.
We need behind the scenes content. I'm really bad at never taking. I should take more photos.
Nah, you're good, man. We're live on air and providing behind the scenes content at the same time.
I mean, it's hard to do what we do, but we do it. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
We do it damn good, dude. This was a fantastic episode. I just want to say thank you, Alex, for coming. And I hope that you guys, if you guys are into sports, or just go follow his podcast in general, just to give the guy a follow on Spotify.
Yeah.
Fuck you, we like the Bengals. If you put in "we like the Bengals," it comes up, because I think "fuck you" is with an asterisk. But
yeah, it's with a few asterisks. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat if you're 13.
I am at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was working last night. I'll tell the story and then I'll head out of here. So like this is my last weekend in Dayton for a while, like because I'll be it's like the summer because I work near UD and the kids are leaving this weekend.
Yeah.
So I have a running bit when the song "All I Do Is Win" plays, and you know the song.
All I do is win.
Yes.
Win.
So like there's a mini break, and every time I'll just like fuck around in the microphone during the break. Like I'll say like Bush did 9/11 or Santa Claus isn't real.
That's great. Dude.
But last night I said next time you see me I'll be 30, which is true. I probably shouldn't have said that in retrospect. I was like, oh, this guy's not cool anymore.
they're like, dude, we thought you were gonna be 20. What the fuck? What the fuck? What kind of skin cream are you using?
Nah. But then I was just like humping the air as a gag just to be a dipshit. And some girl looked at me and she went, "Almost 30." I was like, "Ah, shut up."
Oh my God.
I felt like such a piece of shit. I was like, I'm a child at heart.
Yeah, we all are, really. We're just big kids, man, trying to figure this shit out.
Exactly. One of the best things I've ever heard. Never grow up. Just learn how to be an adult.
That's badass. And you know what? That's a great way to end it. Thank you guys for watching. Justin, thank you for being here. Rock and roll, guys.
All right.
Peace out.